Welcome back, everybody. A beautiful day on Long Island. It's the New York Islanders playing host to the Columbus Blue Jackets. The man in the yellow hat right there, along with his partner, Curious George. I hear that Curious George is a great hockey player in his own right, a fantastic skater. Won't hurt your salary cap because he only plays for Bananas. So there you have it. Closed captioning for today's broadcast, brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Let's get the opening face-off. Here's Howie and Butch.
All right, thank you. And, you know, I'm working with the man in the yellow hat. That's what they used to call Butchie when he played in L.A. and the Kings wore those yellowish, really gold jerseys. And
Four gold, yes.
And you have the gold helmet.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, that's it looked a little better than that man. I'll tell you that. There's Nabby, though, back.
And by the way, anything's got to look better than those jerseys.
Why is there a number on the front? Al Arbour used to say it's about the crest on the front that you're playing for, not the number. There, right there. See? The crest. You're playing for that. That's on the front of the jersey. The back of the jersey is irrelevant, according to the great Al Arbour.
Well, the good news is that those black jerseys are done after this.
Their record's not all that good either.
It doesn't matter. Memo to Brooklyn. Islanders fans do not want black jerseys. Islanders colors are blue, orange, and white. So there. And so from the opening draw, the Islanders with Cizikas, Martin, and McDonald up front. Donovan and Kartner on defense. Former Islander Blake Como, number 14, is on the right wing. Derek McKenzie, number 24, the left wing. Mark Letestu, number 55, is the centerman. Dalton Prout, number 47, is paired on defense with Jack Johnson. And the Islanders have it in the Columbus zone with a puck out at the blue line for Kartner. He finds Cizikas, whose centering feed is flicked away by Letestu. And a pass for Blake Como is not held. And so the puck stays in behind the Columbus goal. A giveaway to Nielsen. Franz Nielsen put it out in front, and Bobrovsky covers up with some traffic in front of him.
Now look for this to be a very physical game, Howie. This is the style that Columbus likes to play. Finish all their checks. Franz Nielsen said he likes to score goals, and thus he's shooting the puck more, even though it's from a bad angle. Watch this shot towards the net. Almost finds its way into the back of the net as Bobrovsky has to be sharp with Matt Martin driving to the net. So Franz Nielsen having a career year, particularly when you're talking about goal scoring. Well, that's one of the reasons, Howie, because he's shooting the puck.
Kyle Okposo out to take the draw against Ryan Johansson. We'll tell you more about this kid. Had a nice conversation with the Blue Jackets coach, Todd Richards, about him. And boy, the expectations are growing exponentially for him.
He's just growing in leaps and bounds, according to his coach, and just likens him to a budding superstar. This guy has so much of talent. Todd Richards saying there's just nothing. There's just anything he can't do or can't become. Well, pretty high praise from his coach.
Nathan Horton, number 8, throws it back to the blue line. Fedor Tootin jams it in. Hamonic slaps it back the other way for the Islanders. So it's Hamonic and DeHaan, the Islander defense pair. Nelson, Okposo, and Lee are up front at the moment, but the Islanders need a change, and so Lee leaves and Josh Bailey jumps on.
Okposo is questionable for this afternoon's game. Suffered an ankle injury, and obviously not too severe that he's able to play. Could be a nagging kind of injury, Howie, but hockey players play with nagging injuries.
Well, it's especially important for Kyle Okposo for a number of reasons. Jack Capuano really appreciates the leadership that some of his veteran players are exhibiting lately. Dubinsky with a drive blocked away because, you know, here's a perfect situation. The Islanders out of the playoffs, a meaningless game for them, although a huge one for Columbus. Yeah, I mean, you probably could have made the case for Okposo taking a game or two off, but you know, he wants to be in there and show the young players that you've got to fight through the situations that develop within the course of a season, such as when you're out of the race late and when you've got an injury that's still not so severe you can't play through it.
That's exactly right. Just because you're hurt a little bit, you've got to dig down a little bit, play through a little bit of pain, find ways to help your team. And of course, that man is also having a career year, so he wants to build on those stats, and why shouldn't he? So recently it was about a 4th overall in the NHL scoring. He's drifted down lately, Howie, but he's still having an unbelievable year. But he wants to finish on a good, hard, positive note as an individual. Obviously, from a team perspective, they can't do that. But certainly as an individual, Kyle Okposo wants to continue his very impressive season.
2.5 gone by. Isamov steers it around. Colin McDonald with a hit against Johnson. And it's played back now to Proud in the Columbus zone. Isamov shut off at the line by Donovan. And Proud plays it across to Johnson. He gets to the red line. Bakov steers it into the corner. Isamov round to the blue line to Johnson. His shot is tipped. Winds up at the near side. Martin trying to clear. And it did come out, brought back in offside exactly 3 minutes into the opening period.
Good start for both teams. Good energy out there, good speed. That man there, Todd Richards, we were talking about the speed of the game, and he couldn't believe how he was talking about the Canada-U.S. game in the Olympics. The fastest game he's ever seen in hockey. He said it was lightning down there in their ice, not only from the skating aspect, but of the thinking aspect, how quick everybody processed what they needed to do. He said he was in awe. He said he really enjoyed it. But it was fast.
And with the speed of the game, what it is today, just in the average NHL game, that's a mouthful to say that game was the fastest he'd ever seen.
Well, the second fastest was the U.S.-Russia game he was talking about, but he said it just didn't compare to the Canada-U.S. game. Little wonder U.S. didn't have much of a game in the bronze game. They were just dead tired, physically and emotionally.
Islanders have the puck in behind the Columbus goal, sent back to DeHaan at the blue line. Snaps it off the boards. It got away from Bobrovsky. With help from his defense, here come the Blue Jackets. Johansson feeds the left wing. Then a centering feed by Boone Jenner, number 38, didn't connect. And it's Hamonic across to DeHaan. Islanders have the first 2 shots that have been registered on Sergei Bobrovsky.
Bobrovsky is lifetime 9-1 against the Isles, Howie, with a .937 save percentage. So he doesn't mind playing the New York Islanders.
Slow start for him this year, but he resurrected himself.
Well, like any team, if you're not getting goaltending, you're not going to do very well. And Todd Richards was talking about that Bob was not Bob early on in the year. Perhaps a little bit of a hangover from that Vezina trophy. Probably had to get it off his rear end and put it back on the mantle. Maybe that was the problem, Howie, that he just weighed down just a little bit. But he's been good in the second half of this season, and he's one of the main reasons why they put themselves into a playoff position.
Well, this thing changes every day now in terms of the playoff race. Columbus still with 12 games remaining. And that means that they've got 2 more games to play than the Rangers and Washington and Toronto. So even though right now they're a point out, they're still in decent shape because they've got those games in hand. And obviously, they feel this is one this afternoon that they absolutely have to have.
You have to beat the teams below you. It's always a tough battle to beat the teams ahead of you, but the ones below you, you have to beat them, particularly when they're way below you. And the Islanders are quite a number of points behind. So Columbus Blue Jackets have a W on the column for this game. They're going to have to earn it.
Bouncing puck near the net, wound around by Nikita Nikitin, number 6. Also with the St. Louis Blues, guy John Davidson was familiar with when he brought Nikitin to Columbus.
And it helps to be involved in a different organization. You get to know all the talent there and look at the players and evaluate them and say, hey, this guy can help us. Obviously, that's what J.D. brought along from St. Louis into Columbus.
Tell you what, he's done a pretty impressive job building first the St. Louis Blues and now the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Turned him around in a hurry. Not so much talent-wise, Howie, attitude-wise. That's the biggest thing I think that John brings to the table as he understands the need for certain elements in the game.
Donovan's going to get a penalty here. A delayed call. Bobrovsky going to the bench. Anisimov against Strome. Banked it back, but Johansson late getting there, and now he cuts back.
Columbus gets a chance to practice its 6-man attack.
And now as the whistle blows, Columbus will go to a power play. And the way things have gone for them with a man advantage, Butch, they might want to decline the penalty.
Yeah, they're 0 for their last 29 and haven't had a lot of success. And we did ask the coach about that. And just said that, the other game, the entries weren't very good. Looks in front of the net as Donovan's in front of the net and gets held for, I believe it was...
New York, minor penalty, tripping.
Now tripping, you're never quite sure. The referees have a lot of different calls. They get the penalty right. It's 2 minutes for tripping, but Todd Richards was talking about the entries weren't very good. So if you can't get into the offensive zone, you're not going to be very effective. But because we have our moments, we need to be better.
And the Blue Jackets control the draw. Nikitin lets go a drive that's tipped up over the net. Pound back to the corner, rescued by Horton. and he stumbles and turns the puck over. And Franz Nielsen starts to center. Nice little wheel move.
Spinorama, he knew exactly where Clutterbuck was sliding to and tried to divert the attention over to himself for a little bit and then give it to Clutterbuck, hoping to catch the Columbus Blue Jackets napping.
Puck dumped in by Johansson. He continues after it. Islanders going with Hickey and Hamonic on defense during this first part of the penalty kill. Brock Nelson up front with Cizikas. Worked around to the blue line. Nikitin. Now Johansson tees it up. Back across to Wisniewski. Nikitin flubbed the pass. Johansson somehow keeps it in. Now to Wisniewski. He shoots. It's blocked and cleared by Hamonic.
Yeah, knocked down by Travis Hamonic, and then he was able to clear it. Good job along the boards there by Ryan Johansson. It looked like he was surrounded, had no chance to make a play, but with the quick stick, was able to keep the puck alive for a short bit.
And out come the Blue Jackets racing ahead. It's Atkinson, number 13. Tried to feed it back to the blue line. It hit a leg. DeHaan fails to clear. And now it's Johnson, number 7. Brandon Dubinsky, the former Ranger. Letestu with a shot. That's blocked by DeHaan and cleared by Nielsen.
Well, no trouble for the Blue Jackets to have ozone time in this power play, although they didn't get any pucks towards the net. The Islander defense did a nice job of getting in front of the shooting lanes. Hamonic and DeHaan blocking shots.
So we're down to 7 seconds remaining on the Columbus power play, and Kartner steers it around to the far side. Finally brought ahead as the penalty is expired. Donovan out of the box. That long drive blocked. One shot for the Blue Jackets with a man advantage.
A nice job by Sundstrom to be able to get the puck out of the defensive zone, maintain control, finally get a shot towards the net.
Oh, and Sundstrom playing in his 4th National Hockey League game. Johan Sundstrom must seem like an old-timer now compared to Kevin Churchman.
He's already moved up into the top 6 scores with games, it seems like.
But you know, Jack Capuano was actually talking about that this morning as the Blue Jackets move in. Save made by Nabokov on the first shot by Umberger, and then Nabokov puts it down.
A good screen shot by Umberger. Nabokov's able to fight it off and then maintain control of the rebound.
Nick Foligno, number 71, turns the puck over. And up comes Lee. I don't think Anders Lee is one that Jack Capuano was referring to, and he said, let's face it, some of the young kids who are up on the Islanders roster now, by rights, really don't belong here yet. They're not ready yet. So it's a little bit of on-the-job training under difficult circumstances.
A lot of them not ready physically. You come out from playing college hockey or junior hockey, you know, you still have a boy's body in some ways, so until you mature a little bit. But Anders Lee has been very, very good. Spent half the season really in the minors and learned how to play the pro game to some degree. And Churchman is just really starting his and I think he's probably the guy that, no disrespect to Kevin, that probably needs time in the minors to get acclimated to the speed of the game, the strength of the game, just to understand how how the pro game is played.
To put it in perspective, Lubomir Wisniewski, who's out today, has played 830 National Hockey League games. The 6 Islander defensemen, 6 of them have totaled 643 National Hockey League games, a little less than 200 fewer than Wisniewski has played all by himself, and 240 of those are by Travis Hamonic.
Yes, Travis Hamonic getting that 250 mark, which Dennis Potvin says that's the mark, isn't it? That you finally mature and you're ready to become a National Hockey Leaguer. So Travis is right on the cusp. Although I think he's a pretty good player now. But Dennis believes that that's how long it takes for you to really fully understand your position. So a lot of these guys have got a ways to go.
I've got to ask number 5 if he felt it took him 250 games. I think he thought he was ready after game 2.
And Al told him he wasn't. And made his point on several occasions that he wasn't. But yeah, Dennis came up and was an awful good player early on in his career. Certainly peaked out winning 4 Stanley Cups, a couple of Norris trophies.
Kartner dumps the puck in. Bobrovsky winds it to the far side. Islanders keep it alive. Kartner to Donovan. He tees it up. He shoots upstairs, but Bobrovsky looked like he got a piece of it to deflect it out of play. 9:42 remaining, first period on the island. Of course, they were in separate conferences until this year, but only once have the Islanders won in regulation against the Columbus Blue Jackets in 16 prior games. Once. And there it is.
And you know what? The funny thing about that, Howie, it's not like Columbus has been some kind of powerhouse. How can you wear a Ranger jersey here today? That's just not right.
Well, I think today it's probably somewhat more significant than usual because that Ranger fan just might be here to root for the Islanders. Hickey with a shot stop. This is one of those few times when Ranger fans or Islander fans will passionately root for their normal rival, because obviously with the Rangers and the Blue Jackets in a battle for the playoff spot, a lot of Ranger fans are pulling for the Islanders today.
Well, maybe we can get our director, Dave Hagan, to take a look and see when we score a goal. Get on her and see if she's cheering or booing, Howie. We'll find out right away whether she's honest.
Well, if she's not, then somebody ought to show her the standings.
Show her the door. Come on.
Well, why don't we take a look right now and see exactly how significant the game is to the parties previously mentioned.
Well, you see the New York Rangers with a couple of wins, big one the other night in New Jersey, 82 points, and Toronto lost again. Boy, they are streaky, Howie. 80 points, and the Red Wings continue to battle along. You know what? Deep down, you kind of have to cheer for the Red Wings. I mean, they've had so many injuries. I mean, and the key players, I mean, with Zetterberg and Datsyuk.
I look at Montreal and where they were headed. They might have tumbled straight out of the playoffs had they not made that tremendous comeback against the Ottawa Senators last week. Nathan Horton put it out in front, and crashing into the net was Hickey. And the net knocked off, and Hickey apparently none the worse for it, but now we're going to get a little retribution asked for by the Islanders.
Clutterbuck on the right-hand side didn't like that late shot by Tootin. Clutterbuck let him know right off the bat with a couple of punches. How about that game the other day with Nash and then Columbus coming back in that fight with Calvert? Boy, you talk about emotion. Well, Clutterbuck's got emotion.
So we'll see what, if any, penalties are handed out with 8:42 remaining in the first period.
Sunday afternoon at the Nassau Coliseum, the Jackets and the Islanders, no score here in the first period. Kyle Clutterbuck, well, he's an angry guy. Look at this area right here. Takes a late shot off the foot of Tootin. Couldn't hear the whistle, obviously, Tootin, on that little slap shot. Kyle Clutterbuck took exception to that. I made sure that Mr. Feder Tootin knew all about it. That's smart sometimes, how if you get it right on the top of the foot, right sort of where the laces tie up. You don't really have a lot of pad in there, and if you hit the right spot, it buckles you. And that's exactly what happened to Cal Clutterbuck. Well, he's always a little angry anyway, isn't he, when he plays?
Well, that's his game, so
that is
he better
game.
be.
That is his game.
Roughing penalties to both Clutterbuck and Tootin at 11:18. So it's a 4-on-4 situation, and for whatever reason, those have not been friendly to the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. In these spots, they've been outscored 8-3. So the Islanders with Oposo and Nielsen up front have DeHaan and Hamonic back. It's Johansson and Horton the forwards. And on defense, Johnson and Prout.
4-on-4, Howie, is usually an indication of talent when you get who scores the most goals.
Talent here with Horton to Johansson, but it just went beyond his reach. Nielsen rode Johansson away. And up comes Oposo, leaving Horton in the dust. Oposo, the Hamonic. Bobrovsky the save, and he's got to gather it back in. So there'll be a face-off in the Columbus zone.
It's always a good thing when you see the Islander defenseman activating, getting involved, giving themselves an opportunity to create a line rush or offensive opportunity. Kyle Oposo weaving down the ice. It's a late coming Travis Hamonic, who's looking for his first goal in an awful long time. You know that he's going to want to finish with a goal before this season ends, so I expect him to be up the ice a lot in the last 12 games. Selectively, of course. Otherwise, he'll have his coaches all over him.
Travis's one goal this year came against the Rangers in the only game those teams played in this building in late October. We've got 45 games without one. Wisniewski put it off of Josh Bailey. Halfway through the 4-on-4, 7:36 remaining in a scoreless first period.
Thomas Hickey playing the right D. A little experience over there. Most of the time he's on the left side. All the injuries and the obviously, with giving him more ice time.
Here's Atkinson shooting. Save made by Nabokov. Kicked it straight out. Wisniewski draws down Donovan. Tries to slide it in front. That was blocked away by Nelson. Well, would you do that as a coach, Butch? When your teams might have been out of a playoff chase, would you sort of test young players by putting them in positions where they might not be most comfortable or perhaps have much experience playing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to see what these guys can do in a lot of different situations and take them out of their comfort zone. You know what they can do when they're feeling good about themselves, but lay them on different defense, different wings, possibly play a winger on center. I mean, the risk is really minimum, and you might find something out about that player. At least you're hoping to.
Birchman threw it in behind the net, brought around by Sundstrom, and then put home by Clutterbuck. Cal Clutterbuck has the Islanders in front 1-0.
Well, a good job of forechecking by the Islanders. Clutterbuck just getting back on the ice after serving his 2-minute penalty for roughing. The Islanders get the puck in deep and then go to work down below the goal line. And Johan Sundstrom, there's a little chip into the corner behind the net. First on the puck is Johan Sundstrom. A little wraparound attempt. Frans Nielsen battles for the loose puck, but it's Clutterbuck who comes in and just picks up the garbage. Look at that, right in the slot area. Tooten doesn't get back to his side of the defensive zone quick enough, and Clutterbuck makes him pay.
So Cal is in double digits with his 10th goal of the year.
He's played much better in the second half of the season, and I think it just took him time, Howie, to get acclimated to his new teammates, to the new style of hockey that the New York Islanders play. You know, with coaching, the way they have their own little systems here and there, and you got to get comfortable in that position. And I think it took him a half a season, because I like a lot of the things he's done in the second half, and it started for me when he started killing penalties.
And had a couple of short-handed goals.
Exactly. That just jump-starts you, and that makes you feel pretty good.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now, and it's only one goal, obviously, with still 6:18 to go in the first period, so there's the overwhelming majority of this game still to be played. But this is a Columbus team that's desperate. They're on the road. They're playing against a team they feel they should beat. When they fall behind, it'll be interesting to see how they respond. They're behind 1-0 right now. Bakov gathers the puck in. There'll be a face-off in the Islanders zone. And a little feisty at times here in the first period. Again, some pushing and shoving. So 5:59 remain in the first. Clutterbuck from Nielsen, and Sundstrom gets his first NHL point. Experience MSG Game Flow during every Islanders game. Follow along on MSG.com with live play-by-play and up-to-the-minute stats. You'll also have access to in-depth player cards, live tweets from the MSG on-air team, and extensive pre- and post-game video and analysis. So, Johan Sundstrom, congratulations. You got an NHL point. Next thing he needs is a goal.
That's exactly right, Howie. Starts sniffing around the net. That time he took the puck to the net, tried a little wraparound, didn't succeed, but created an offensive opportunity, and the end result was an assist. So that's a start.
Nathan Horton, number 8, who had a slow start this year because of shoulder surgery. You know, he's also had concussion problems over the last couple of years. Winds the puck around the boards, keeps the heat on Oposo, who turns the other way away from Nathan Horton. You know, it's kind of funny. You mentioned Todd Richards thinking that maybe someday Ryan Johansson could become a Mark Messier type. Remember, Nathan Horton was originally a Florida Panther, right? And Mike Keenan was the coach at the time and said Nathan Horton could develop into Mark Messier. It's kind of interesting because that hasn't happened yet. And Horton playing the wing, and Mark Messier, a lot of people forget, came up as a left wing.
Yeah, he really did. Certainly got more comfortable with the pro game, a lot more confidence. Then he turned out to be a pretty good centerman.
Here's Churchman holding it into the blue line and hit the leg of Foligno. And is scooped, I believe, off a deflection and out of the zone by R.J. Umberg.
Well, the thing you have to like about Brock Nelson is that this guy again listen to Capuano talk about it. You know, players are going to be evaluated over these last 12 games. Well, he's done a real nice job here, moving around from left wing to right wing to center, Howie. And when you're trying to establish your NHL career, that's not the easiest route to take, is playing different positions all the time. But I just think it speaks volumes about how strong the coaches feel about his game when he's able to play those different positions and the confidence that he exhibits with each position. And he's done well, remarkably well. And he's going to get bigger and stronger, you know, as he sort of grows into being a man.
One bounced away from Churchman, backed up by Matt Calvert, number 11. And it was Atkinson wheeling it in behind the net. Taken there by Dubinsky. Brandon Dubinsky to Prout, and that one's deflected. Atkinson checked by Hickey. Calvert in a lot of traffic, and it squirts loose to McDonald with 3:57 remaining in the opening period. The Islanders have outshot the Blue Jackets 7-6. Dubinsky pulls up. It's a shove and another one from Matt Donovan. Then feeds it across to Tootin. Draws his man down, but Martin made a nice recovery and got a stick on that shot.
Yeah, did he ever? He stopped in a hurry and had the presence of mind to extend his stick to his left and deflected that Tootin shot up into the crowd. Matt Martin, we know very much as a hitter, but he's a good defensive player. Very capable of blocking shots, sacrifices his body in a lot of different ways. But you know, to get back to, you were talking a little bit about Dubinsky. Get back. I think watching a Columbus play is the emotional leader of this team. How he goes is how the rest of them go. He plays with you know, such energy. He's a very physical player. He's strong on the puck. His line has been very, very effective.
Now Sundstrom takes off after Tootin as the puck pops right back to Blake Como, the former Islander. Como, number 14, takes a bump from Almo. He dumps the puck in and then returns a shot to the back of Almo. Letestu for Tootin. And now McKenzie in the corner. Como, checked by a pair of Islanders, recovers the puck, shoots one, and that's steered away by Nabokov.
And we know Blake Como has a terrific shot. Recall his days as the Islander, scored some real nice goals.
Sundstrom back into the corner. Took a whack at Tootin. Letestu tried to get it to the front of the net and could not.
Typical Columbus shift now when they're really going well is the ability to forecheck, cycle, get on the loose pucks. Defense will pinch in, so big strong shift there for the Blue Jackets, and you would expect them to get a little push going, Howie, before the period's all said and done.
We got Blue Jackets changing with 2.5 remaining in the period. And it's Okposo. Right wing. Turn from Nielsen to Kyle Okposo. He's banged into by Dennis Savard. Or David Savard, pardon me, number 58. Was going to say no relation to Dennis Savard.
They wish.
Let's see if he can do a spinorama though. Oh, two Blue Jackets collide. Umberger and Anisimov. So the Islanders with an odd man rush, a 4-on-2. Okposo shoots. A save, Bobrovsky. And a little pushing and shoving again. Most of these whistles seem to be punctuated by some tough stuff and not necessarily real rough stuff.
Just trying to keep the crease area clear. But two of the Columbus Blue Jackets, as you mentioned, Anisimov was going in the corner, and they just collided with one another. Lost balance here as Anisimov went, and Umberger went down hard. Watch number 18. His skates get caught up with Anisimov skates, and they both go down. It looked like Umberger took the worst of it, but look at this play. 4-on-2 for the Islanders, and Kyle Okposo likes to shoot the puck. You see Umberger there, been benched over the last couple of games, Howie, a healthy scratch. And boy, it's nice when you can scratch a guy that has 18 goals, isn't it? Say, hey, you're not playing quite hard enough. We need you to play with more leadership, more tenacity. So sit for a couple of games.
And I also think Todd Richards understands those numbers you just saw. R.J. Umberger has always played well against the Islanders going back to his days with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right. You know, talk about a guy that goes to the dirty areas, willing to stand in front of the net, particularly on the power play. So with their power play struggling, Howie, makes sense to put Umberger back in the lineup. Minute
39 remaining in this first period. Shots are even 8-8. Islanders lead 1-0 on a Cal Clutterbuck goal. Brock Nelson turns it over to Johansson, but Nelson got it back.
And you have to wonder how, you know, are the Blue Jackets feeling a little pressure? You know, it's one thing when you get into a playoff run, easy games.
They turn it over. Cizikas has a shot blocked.
I think it went off the crossbar too, Howie, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Islanders, there's no pressure on them. They're not feeling it. They don't have to win. They'd like to. But the Blue Jackets need to win. And you just wonder if they're just not quite as relaxed as you normally would be.
We were alluding to right after the Islanders score that first goal to see how they respond, meaning the Blue Jackets to trailing in such an important game. Casey Cizikas, as we're into the final minute of the first period. Martin in front, couldn't get the stick down. Wisniewski took Martin down. And then Fedor-Tyutin stick handled right into Cizikas, and that turns the puck over.
All kinds of turnovers for the Blue Jackets in this first period, so I'm sure the coach, Todd Richards, will address some of these inefficiencies that the Blue Jackets have demonstrated in this opening period.
Al Arbour might not have called it puck management, but I'm sure Todd Richards will. Calvert to the side of the net, and written down on the play was Atkinson.
Words turnover in our day.
Easier to say, too. Takes less time. Final 9 seconds of the period. Dubinsky trying to get it towards the net, down to 5. Plays it back to Tootin with 3. Dubinsky just throws it that way, blocked away by Hickey, somewhat fittingly, as the first period ends. And a period that saw Cal Clutterbuck get the only goal. Each team had 8 shots, but just that last block by Hickey, we saw a lot of blocks, or so it seemed, in the first period.
I thought the Islanders played very well defensively, and we heard the coach talk about that. That's an area they want to continue to work on. Well, yeah, I guess they have to. They're 29th in the league when you talk about goals against. So I thought they did a real nice job in blocking shots. Their positioning was good, Howie, and they skated very well, so they were able to have some ozone time.
So Islander fans, stay tuned for the first period intermission report presented by Ford. Peter will chat with the grizzled veteran Kevin Churchman, now 4 periods into his National Hockey League career. Bucking the Trend, a feature on Cal Clutterbuck, who scored the Islanders' goal, and highlights of a first period that saw the Islanders block 9 shots. We're talking about all those shots they blocked, and now he can put a number to it. Clutterbuck, 1-0, New York. Ford report coming up. Islanders up 1-0. Just before we start the second period, we'll look at our Cadillac trivia question. Ryan Johansson having quite a year with 27 goals for the Blue Jackets. Only 2 players in that franchise's history with 30 or more goals in a year. 30 or more. That is your assignment. We'll revisit a little bit later on.
One right off the top, right?
Well, I guess that'd be Rick Nash, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we gave one away.
Okay,
It's Sunday afternoon. A lot of kids watching. We can't expect them to know everything.
We're going to give them a help.
We certainly don't. But anyway, it is 1-0 as the second period begins with Anders Lee throwing the puck in behind the Columbus goal, and Bobrovsky steering it around. Lee gets right back on it, but it's dug loose and wheeled out by Boone Jenner, number 38. And then Horton is hit by DeHaan as Nielsen comes back to play it for New York in the Islanders zone. Jenner got it loose. Johansson goes to work using his size and some skill. And that's another thing we were talking about with Todd Richards before the game. All of the things that Johansson can do to put himself into position to score, between his speed, his stick handling, his strength.
And he's learning the position of puck in the proper areas, protect the puck while still having an opportunity. Talked about a guy named Mario Lemieux who used to do that awful well.
Hickey, a shot blocked. Now the Jackets in the block column. And Oposo lets it go for Nelson.
They were talking to John Davidson in between periods, and he was concerned for his team if they didn't have their legs going, and they had a real hectic schedule, Howie, over the last couple of weeks. Coming off a big win in Montreal, then the next night at home to play against the New York Rangers. That was a loss, and then really only a day off. So a lot of hockey in a short period of time for these guys, and the Islanders are coming off a 5-day rest. So is Todd Richards going to be able to motivate his team enough that they can actually have enough legs to get it done? That'll be the question as this game progresses.
So from the draw, the puck comes over the glove of Hickey, and now it's a race. Churchman with a couple of strides on the hard-charging Dubinsky. Josh Bailey up the middle. Clutterbuck jams it in. Nelson chases it down. Dubinsky back on it. Minute 40 gone here in the second period. Islanders recover, and now it's Clutterbuck. Shooting one up high. Bobrovsky the save, and he makes a second save on Strome.
Clutterbuck on a good quick release as they forces Bobrovsky to make a nice save, and then Ryan Strome follows up on the play and able to get another opportunity. Clutterbuck never shy to shoot. There's a quick shot, little screen, and then Ryan Strome follows up on the play, but Bob, as Columbus likes to call him, is able to pick up that rebound. Couldn't control the first rebound as it took it right off the chest. That's always a hard area for the goaltenders to control.
So Strome steers it all the way to the far side. Donovan got it through. Strome puts it in front, but that's scooped up by the glove of Bobrovsky, forcing another face-off in the Columbus Blue Jacket zone.
Well, when you're a youngster, you're learning all about face-offs and how to angle yourself, and said he didn't mind cheating in the first period, though. The Islanders were really outplayed in the first period when you talk about face-offs, and they've hammered 13-4. Now the Blue Jackets are 8th in the league, and the Islanders are 26th in the league for face-offs. So their centermen are going to have to work in the offseason a little stronger, a little quicker, maybe watch some tapes to figure out how to be a little more effective. It's an important part of the game.
Polino into the Islanders zone. Shoots one. It got through the legs of Kartner right to Nabokov, who covers up.
Well, when you get into these kind of games, Howie, where you need to win the game, and it's going to be hard for you. The opposition shut their legs, and you're struggling a little bit. You've got to stay the course. You can't cheat. So many teams start to cheat. They get caught up the ice. And we heard Todd Richard talk about having that inside position, control in the middle of the ice, not give up those odd man rushes. All systems need skating, and his team will have to work hard to stay competitive in this game on that aspect, but you can't lose the faith and you can't cheat.
And from the draw, Blake Como took either a stick or perhaps the puck. I thought it was the follow-through. I'll probably get another look at it in a little bit, but Como appears to be okay.
There's no penalty if it's a pass or a shot on the follow-through. There's a knee. Got away with one there, Nikitin.
Zekas was knocked down, gets back up and looks for the puck in the corner, but Como's got it for Columbus.
And Nikitin's limping on that, sticking that leg out on that check. Not skating very well. The Islanders don't want to really give it to the goaltender. We'll watch Nikitin as he goes off. We'll watch the check. I thought he was fortunate. Nikita, that is, didn't get a penalty. Watch him stick this left leg out. He hangs it right out there for Casey Cizikas, and he got the worst of it there. Blake Como along the boards. I think he kind of tried to sell that a little bit more. That was Helmo's stick. I don't necessarily know that would have been the right call, but the referee chose to let it go.
And also of note, we showed you Nikitin limping off. Mark Letestu also was shaken up. He was doubled over as he made his way back to the Columbus bench.
Now, they had a couple of collisions in the first period. Columbus bumping into each other. They're already missing their good, bright young defenseman, first rounder, second overall, Howie, Ryan Murray, and really skilled individual. And so Columbus Blue Jackets without one of their better offensive defensemen.
Murray had knee surgery. The only chance they have to get him back is if they go for a long run in the playoffs. First, they've got to get there.
Yeah, get to the dance first.
Johansson across. And that long drive by Prout missed the net. And the puck wheeled out to center. On comes Oposo. Oposo waiting. Islanders getting a change in, and that's why Oposo is ragging that puck. Blue Jackets send it back down, and icing the call. They'll bring it back into the Columbus zone as this period is off to a slow-moving start.
Yeah, Kyle Oposo, as we've watched him progress with his ability all through the way. Travis Hamonic, watch him in front of the net. Good position, and that's something the Islanders are doing much better. They're staying in tighter to the net, able to control rebounds, tie up the opposition forwards, but to get back to Kyle Oposo, that's something we've watched him get better and better, is being able to buy time and space along those boards. How he is so strong on his feet and got the good strong back that he's able to ward off defenders and create all kinds of opportunities for his teammates.
So from the draw, it's Hickey chipping it into the corner. Bailey was looking for it. He was tangled up with Johnson. Hickey gets it back. Churchman a shot, and that's gloved by Bobrovsky.
An easy save for Bobrovsky. He had a good clear look at it, but young Churchman, Kevin Churchman, just doing the smart thing, making sure he's getting it on net, moved himself into position after that smart pass from Thomas Hickey. He'll learn as he goes along, Howard, that he'll have more time. Once the game slows down for him from a mental side, he'll have more time to do bigger and better things with that puck. I'm sure he possesses a pretty good slap shot, giving him some time.
Now Tootin puts it in behind the Columbus goal. Islanders have Bailey, Clutterbuck, and Nelson up front. As Calvert shooting, steered away by Nabokov. The Blue Jacket takes a spill. That was Atkinson. Back the other way come the Islanders. Bailey tucks it in. Islanders begin a change. Tootin for Columbus, double team. Hustling over is Hickey, just does hold it in at the line. Now Bailey in the corner. Islanders completing that change. Bailey feeds the blue line to Carkner. Across to Donovan. And now Strome. Atkinson challenging Strome. Ryan Strome launches one. Bobrovsky got a piece of it. Bailey puts it behind the net. Clutterbuck wheeling to the corner. At least Colin McDonald. And now it's brought back out by Calvert.
Islanders have the better legs, Howie. The Columbus Blue Jackets just can't get to where they want to go. Half a step behind the Islanders.
Strome hits Donovan moving in. Donovan around the net. Bobrovsky back in position. Donovan lost the handle. Foligno got it back. And Foligno, number 71, down the left wing. In for Anisimov. Donovan had a piece of him. It came back out in front. And Nabokov covers as Umberger took a poke at it. Nabokov right along the goal line gets the whistle.
And Nabokov didn't even know where the puck was, made the original save, and in this held his position as Umberger tried to lift up that secondary shot. Watch the Anisimov heads towards the net, back out in front to Foligno, and there's the opportunity for Umberger with the loose puck, and Nabokov just holds his position. Watch him make the initial save. Now it's a loose puck, and Umberger's eyes are all lit up as he sees a big empty net almost, but Nabokov makes himself as big as he possibly can in order to make that save. Sometimes you have to have a little luck.
Each team with 14 shots so far. Now Anisimov will draw with Sundstrom. At least that's the plan. Finally, the puck dropped by Brian Mock.
Sundstrom has played center also, along with Casey Cizikas, so Islanders in a good situation there, having two centermen on the ice.
Icing waved off. And DeHaan steers it around. Anisimov back in towards Foligno. Tried to sidestep DeHaan. Looked like Calvin might have had his wrist jammed there.
Going to be a penalty, Howie. The back referee's got his arm up. Not sure who's getting that penalty. Calling it holding anyway. Referee's conferring to make sure they have the same guy. Calvin DeHaan was in the corner. Looks like it's going to be a Columbus Blue Jacket.
71 Columbus, minor penalty, holding.
Not very happy is Foligno. Again, both DeHaan and Foligno went into the corner. And probably the loose hand. Foligno wrapped around DeHaan. And we get another look at this puck, but it'll be a power play for the Islanders. Catch a later look.
So the Islanders with a man advantage, and this Islanders power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Columbus Blue Jackets win that face-off. Part of your power play success is the ability to win face-offs in the offensive zone. It gives you interest in automatic or immediate ozone time. Allows you to move the puck around. Don't have to waste 15 seconds bringing it back in.
Holding on Foligno at 5:53. The Islander power play has struggled. We told you about how badly Columbus has gone with 0 for their last 30. The Islanders 8 for their last 71. And that covers a stretch of 18 games. So the Islanders now will retreat. They've got Nielsen, Nelson, Donovan, Oposo, and Lee as the power play unit. Columbus just changing up front. Now they send Dubinsky out with Umberger. Johnson is on defense along with Prout. And a drive by Nielsen missed the net. Back around to Donovan. Islanders up 1-0 and up a man for another minute 14. Umberger tried to get it loose. Oposo, very hard feed. Nothing Donovan could do with that.
Kind of handcuffed him a little bit. And this is where the injuries affect the Islanders more so than any other place. Without Wisnowski, now you have Donovan on the points.
But again, as you were saying, it's different responsibilities. Not that Donovan not accustomed to playing in Bridgeport necessarily.
Right, yeah, plays the point on the power play in Bridgeport.
Scramble by Hamonic, but he couldn't A, keep it in. B, though, he did manage to control it and prevent the Blue Jackets from getting a potential shorthanded rush. So a half minute remains on the Islander power play. Hamonic and Dahan with an unsteady exchange.
How many people standing still? Got to get your feet moving.
Are they ever?
Yeah.
Strome for Bailey. You can see all the stationary positions and nowhere for either of those defensemen to move that puck to get somebody in motion.
It looks more like a chess game than a checker game.
And that puck splits the defenseman. No shots on a power play that is now over. Foligno out of the box. And back in the Columbus zone. It's Nikita Nikitin, who was banged up earlier, but back on. Cizikas to Clutterbuck. Quick shot. Bobrovsky the save. Rebound pushed to the net by Martin. Bobrovsky's got that. And there's no further play. 11:49 remaining. Second period. The New York Islanders' upcoming schedule is brought to you by Lexus. Islanders will hit the road, go away for a couple of games this week. They'll be in Raleigh to face the very desperate Hurricanes on Tuesday night. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos back. Lightning in playoff position. Big game for them on Thursday night before the Islanders come home next Saturday to face the Devils, who are about done.
Yeah, the Devils, both the Devils and the Hurricanes are on the outside looking in, and their chances are not very good. They'd have to go on a huge winning streak and have a few things fall into place for them, but definitely Tampa Bay has got itself going again, and looks like it will get to the playoffs. It continues to play the good sound hockey it has been, but you're right, Stamkos makes a huge difference.
Islanders would just like to get something out of Carolina. 0-5-1 in their last 6 against the Hurricanes.
Not had a whole lot of success against them, and particularly in their own barn.
Now it's Nielsen. Down to the far side. Anders Lee took a shove. Nikitin with a wrist shot, and that went wide. So that was Horton who took the shot. Nikitin coming back for it now.
Yeah, you got to try and find a way to hit the net when you're shooting the puck from the angles. Too many times it goes right out, as we witnessed.
Churchman being chased. Dubinsky put it to the net right alongside the cage, nudged loose by Nelson. Brock Nelson plays it up the right wing. On comes Hickey. And over the line. But the shot that deflects out of play.
Well, that's one area of play that the Islander coaching staff is really happy with when you talk about Brock Nelson. He's such a responsible individual. Down low, he's committed to keeping the puck out of the net, and his positioning is so good. It's all about reads and reaction down there in the defensive zone, maintaining that good inside position. Howie, put yourself, in a situation where you can pick up those loose pucks, and then once you have it, know what to do with it, and quick thinking ability.
So Cizikas and Derek McKenzie on the draw. And Donovan scoots down the boards, finds Cizikas in the corner where he's checked by Johnson. And now Sundstrom, who assisted on Clutterbuck's goal. Johan Sundstrom, his first NHL point. Cizikas, nice move towards the slot, trying to get loose, draws a penalty. And as Como touches up, we get the whistle. And keep your feet moving. You go to the net like Cizikas did. Sometimes, maybe not a goal, but something good.
You've been watching, Howie. You've been listening. Boy, that's an I can't say it any better than that. That's why there was a penalty there, as McKenzie just couldn't quite keep up to Cizikas, and watch the feet movement again. Crossovers, back and forth, keep the puck in good position ahead of you, protect it. Casey Cizikas did all those things right, and now he allows his team to go on the power play. Good, solid effort going towards the net with the puck by Casey Cizikas.
Well, now I feel like I've overstepped my bounds.
Not at all.
And treaded into your territory. So why don't you do play-by-play for the first little flurry?
I'm happy in my perch.
No!
You can step into my ground anytime.
No. All I could do is ruin it. But anyway, this Islanders power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Hooking on McKenzie at 9:34. Islanders did not manage a shot on their first power play. Nielsen gets it back, shoots. He hit the side of the net. Bobrovsky getting back into position.
Great entry there by the Islanders. Come up with speed.
Donovan a drive, missed the net. Karam's right to Nielsen. But now he's got to retrieve it in center as it skipped away from it.
Yeah, bounced right over a stick. Good position. Bad luck.
Better Tootin under a lot of pressure in the corner. Gets help from Wisniewski. Islanders get it again. Up high to Donovan. And now Nielsen. Gets it back from Nelson. Donovan to Nielsen. Down low, deflected off Wisniewski, I believe. Islanders keep it. Nielsen shoots. He hit the side of the net with Bobrovsky down and out of position, trying to swim back. He doesn't have control of his stick. Now he reaches for it as the Islanders maintain possession. Donovan to Nielsen. Down low to Nilsson. And Nielsen in the corner. Franz Nielsen across. Good feed, but Okposo fails to hold on. Now he's got it back. 28 to the power play. Okposo trying to get away from Wisniewski. Nice move. Feeds Nielsen. Tees it up. Threw it out in front. Nielsen could have shot. Instead passed and it deflected out of play.
Yeah, real good puck movement by the Islanders. I like a lot of things they did. I'd like to see him shoot the puck just a little bit more, but Franz Nielsen had a tremendous opportunity. There's a shot into the slot area. That's a shot pass to Nielsen. There it is. Franz, as he one-times it, just snaps it to the right, just a hair. Kyle Okposo driving to the net. Again, Franz Nielsen looking for that low pass over to Brock Nelson. A little too fancy there at times, but boy, you have to like the thought process.
Would you have liked
movement?
Would you have preferred to have seen Nielsen shoot that second time? As
Yeah,
opposed to the pass?
I would. Yeah, you know, you see someone wide open, you're looking for the layup, but you need to shoot the puck.
Hamonic does. It's deflected by Anisimov out of play with just 2 seconds remaining on the McKenzie penalty.
Yeah, but what a play that was from Kyle Okposo across to Franz Nielsen earlier on the one-time snapshot right away by Franz. And it's not easy. It looks easy from up here. You know, he's got a pretty good sized net to hit there. Just wants to make sure he gets past the glove of Bobrovsky and just a little on the outside, if you will.
Oh, Cizikas, McDonald, Martin, Hamonic, and DeHaan for the Islanders. Just 2 seconds left on a power play, which now ends with the Islanders managing 1 shot. They're 0 for 2 today.
That's when I used to get on the power play, Howie, when Trotz was ahead of me. Just like
2
Casey
seconds.
Cizikas there. Yeah, go ahead, Butch. I know how Casey's probably feeling.
Well, and McDonald to the backhand, and he wheeled it wide. And now Johnson moves to the corner before sweeping it across to Nathan Horton. Horton now up to the Islander line. Fields back. Down goes Jenner.
And you can see that the Columbus Blue Jackets are just a little off. Everything seems to be a half a second slower, a half a step off. Even with the drop pass there with Horton to Jenner, and then Jenner losing his balance a little bit. So all signs for me that they are not as sharp as they would like to be. Again, we talked about the schedule, how difficult it's been for him over the last little while.
Nathan Horton along the boards. Pushes it back to the blue line. Long drive stopped by Nabokov as Savard let it go. DeHaan in a little trouble, gets some help. And now Clutterbuck with a lead pass they had. Bailey breaking ahead. Nelson cuts in, shoots. Save Bobrovsky. Comes back out. And Bobrovsky another save. That one on Clutterbuck. 7:08 remaining. Second period on the island. Tonight on MSG, Carmelo Anthony and the Red Hot Knicks take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Live coverage gets underway with Visa Knicks game night at 7 p.m. Knicks Cavs tonight on MSG. Team Austria represented here at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Of course, no Michael Grabner. He's got a concussion. Thomas Vanek, hate to break it to you boys, but he's in Montreal right now.
Well, perhaps they're sliding up to Montreal later on their journeys.
Mentioned the Canadiens have straightened themselves out, whereas it looked like they might be tumbling out of playoff position. Down 3 goals in the third period in Montreal about a week ago. Coming back to beat Ottawa in overtime.
Of course, the Islander management's cheering for the Montreal Canadiens.
The reason for that is that one of the conditions to the Vanek trade was an exchange where the Islanders would get Montreal's second-round pick. Canadiens would get a 5th if the Canadiens make the playoffs. If they don't, then those draft picks don't move. And the Islanders get nothing further. Here's Foligno. Umberger going to the net. Foligno shoots, and it's behind Nabokov, but he somehow had it. just as he was leaning backwards and gets the whistle.
One of the few turnovers by the Islanders. Thomas Hickey turning the puck over just at his blue line, and Foligno is able to pick up the puck, and there's the turnover right there, and then Foligno getting out wide. Terspin playing it pretty well there, forces the shot by Foligno, who doesn't get a whole lot on it. Terspin taking away the pass, which is the smart thing to do. Let the goaltender handle the shooter. He did. And the Bokhoff was perfect on that attempt.
Oh, from the draw. Matt Donovan on up the boards with it. Lee got a piece. Poso moves ahead. And over the line, Poso veering wide against Dubinsky. Just threw it at Bobrovsky. Brandon Dubinsky gets it back. Feeds Nick Schultz. And then the power, at least Atkinson. And then knocked aside. Penalty coming up here. And it's going to be to the Islanders. A delayed call. And so Bobrovsky on his way to the bench as Wisniewski just slows things down, allows the Jackets to get their extra skater on. Now they go to work with an extra man in a delayed penalty situation. Atkinson wheels to the corner. Tries to spin it back to the blue line. Connects with Teuton. Now to Wisniewski. He plays it across. Johansson to the slot. Dubinsky tees it up, shoots up high. The save made by Nabokov. And as the Islanders take possession, we get the whistle, and Columbus will go to the power play. Donovan heads to the box. 5:45 remaining, second period. Wednesday night on MSG, catch courtside conversation from the dinner table as J.B. Smoove sits down with guests John Sally, Keith Richardson, Steve Sharippa, and Darrell Hammond. It's an all-new 4 courses with J.B. Smoove, presented by Visa, Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on MSG. This will be a hold on Donovan.
Yeah, what? Going through the middle of the ice is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Just a little bit. Loose arm through the waist. I believe that was Dubinsky that was being held up. The Blue Jackets will try to get their powerless play going.
0 for its last 30, including once today. Managed just 1 shot on that power play. Right here, they've got Wisniewski out at a point, along with Johnson, Johansson, Horton, and Jenner up front. And the Islanders have Hamonic and DeHaan, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck.
Wisniewski has 33 assists, so look for him, the guy, to get the puck towards the net.
Johnson working the corner. Cut off and cleared by Hamonic. Bobrovsky will hand off.
Where the Blue Jackets missed their prize young defenseman, Ryan Murray, who is a very gifted, talented individual, particularly on the offensive side of the board.
Nelson clears, and the Blue Jackets begin to change the power play.
Yeah, nothing more frustrating when you can't get in and establish a little bit of puck movement. And the longer you go without scoring the goal, the more you're trying to find your confidence and your ability to relax with the puck and make the right decisions.
This is their 9th game since last scoring a power play goal.
Well, imagine winning hockey games when you don't have your special teams going well. The penalty killing's been pretty good, and that's probably because the goaltending has been so good, and Bob's been very good through 2 periods for the Blue Jackets.
Islanders have outshot Columbus 21-20. 34 seconds left to the Blue Jackets power play. Dubinsky behind the net against DeHaan. Brandon Dubinsky knocked down by Calvin DeHaan. The puck dug loose but not cleared, so Nikitin puts a move on Cizikas. Dubinsky to Umberger. He feeds it back to Nikitin. A little spin move on Cizikas. Good coverage by Hamonic, though. And that allows Cizikas to try to nudge it ahead, but Umberger got back there quickly. Down to 5 on the power play for Columbus. Nikitin across to Savard. The penalty over. Atkinson didn't get it cleanly to the net. The puck cleared all the way down by DeHaan. No shots for the Blue Jackets on that struggling power play.
They didn't even come close, Howie. They had a little bit of control in the offensive zone, but for the most part, they weren't close to scoring a goal.
They came in 18th in the league on the power play, but again, that's factoring in a drought that is now 0 for its last 31.
Yeah, much too methodical on their power play. Nobody in real good position to get something done.
Calvert to Anisimov. Artem Anisimov. Let's go a shot that pinballs, winds up in the corner. Still, I think John Davidson's concerns, as he expressed to us between periods, would have to be the same. He's waiting for his team to see if they can find their legs, and he was a little concerned about whether they would with the tight schedule of games they've played recently.
And they just haven't had any jump, and the Islanders have looked the better team through the first few periods, mostly because they've been able to execute with a lot better precision, better legs.
Again, for Columbus, this is one of the games in hand they have on several teams that they're right in that scramble with for a wild card playoff spot in the Eastern Conference.
And plus the competition. I mean, you're looking at the Islanders and thinking, if I play my game, I should win. Not going according to Hoyle so far.
2:16 remaining in the second. And up the left side comes McKenzie. Now a chase. Como and Churchman get there together. Como dumps Churchman behind the net. Nielsen spins it around. Pass to pinching Tuch. But it's recovered by Letestu. Meantime, Churchman and Como were still engaged behind the Islander net. And finally, Churchman knocks Como down in the corner. McKenzie's shot looked like it hit Hickey in front of the net. And up the left wing now, Oposo tooting back. Oposo puts the move on, gets to the net, draws a penalty, even though Bobrovsky made an effective stick check. Kyle Oposo did just what Casey Cizikas did earlier to draw a penalty going to the net, and the Islanders will have the man advantage.
Now went to the dirty area. A lot of guys don't like to go there, fearing they might get hurt. They might get pushed into the net. Not Kyle Oposo, just leans his right shoulder into Tootin, and there's the call. 2 minutes for holding. Kyle Oposo, as he picks up the puck, takes a quick look over his right shoulder. Now he's going to pull the puck and watch him lean in, and there's the loose right hand by Tootin. Easy call. And there's the battling behind the net with Como and Churchman as they go at it. Now they're tied up. Como's trying to shake himself loose. Churchman not backing away. Watch they continue this battle. This is hockey at its best. One-on-one. All right, now it's your turn to go on the board. So the rookie's learning the ropes in a hurry.
Was it just me, or did Churchman's eyes pop out of his head when he saw Como in the corner with room to drill him? I mean,
exactly. Well, that's what a defenseman's all about. My chance to hit you.
This Islanders power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. And at any level, that mindset that Kevin Churchman just displayed is the same, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And, you talk about the battle level of a hockey player and the evaluations that are going to be going on over these last 3 weeks. Well, that's going to make the general manager happy with the battle level Churchman displayed.
Now Bailey tries to get it towards Strome. That was broken up and cleared by Johansson. So this penalty will carry into the third period unless the Islanders can do something here in the final minute 12 of the second. Assuming there are no further penalties that would change the on-ice manpower.
Well, at least it's not going to be the dreaded 2-goal lead, Howie. Well, I'm just saying.
Well, history would support that. Some would call it paranoia. Nice move. Hamonic shoots. He scores! Well, Butchie, there's your dreaded 2-goal lead, but never mind that. That's a highlight reel goal for Travis Hamonic, his first since late October. It's a power play goal, and the Islanders lead it 2-0.
Now watch Travis Hamonic as he's going to go the 200 feet, going to make it a 200-foot game, and he's been looking, he's been sniffing, and there he goes. Looks a little bit like Bobby Orr with the puck movement, and just keeps going, and the seas just parted. A good wrist shot over the shoulder, and that's a happy man there. He just keeps skating. Look, he's got his head up, looking to see what options are. Well, here's the best one yet. Let me just go straight down the middle and pick the corner. So a beautiful play by Travis Hamonic. He's been looking for a goal. He's had several opportunities over the last few games, shooting the puck more, jumping up into the play. Well, you didn't have to jump up at all, Howie. He just was a puck mover.
He was the play.
He was the play in its entirety.
That was a good job of, as Mike Babcock would call it, puck transporting.
Yeah, exactly right. He did. He transported it 200 feet.
You know, he talked about, obviously, as a defenseman, the first guy you're going to think of when he goes wire to wire like that is the greatest of them all, Robert Gordon Orr. But Islander fans always, I'm sure, think about a player who scored an end-to-end goal in a game you played in. Your buddy Bobby Bourne.
Yeah, with his great speed going to the outside and taking and diving almost. And I believe it's the Rangers, too, the entire Ranger team. That's a huge goal for the Islanders. It makes the comeback trail much tougher for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who really don't have a lot of jump in their game. They're working, but it's a it's one of those games where the legs just don't seem to be there. This is a huge game for them. The Islanders skating very well and use their time off to their advantage.
DeHaan gets the only assist on Hamonic's goal in 1908. Calvin could say, I set that whole play up.
Delayed tactic for Calvin DeHaan.
Hey, a point's a point.
Exactly.
Centering feed missed. Time runs out. And the Islanders, thanks to Travis Hamonic's gorgeous goal, will leave the ice at the end of 2 with a 2-0 lead over the Blue Jackets. So that's 12 goals in the career of Travis Hamonic. 4 of them have come on the power play. None of them as gorgeous as that one. He probably practiced that on the ponds of Manitoba for years before finally executing it in the National Hockey League.
Up and down the Red River, Howie. It gets as cold and as deep as any ice surface you can imagine. So yes, long breakaways on that particular river, but that was a tremendous play by Travis. But the Islanders have been the better team for 2 periods, and Jack Capuano said in the morning talk is that he wanted effort from his hockey club, and that's what he's getting.
And if you notice the way Cal Clutterbuck was limping off there, that's something to pay attention to as the teams eventually come out for the 3rd period. But here in the 2nd, Hamonic the only goal, 2-0 New York. Peters back in a moment. You know, you could watch that Hamonic goal over and over. It's going to be that memorable as far as recent Islander picture play type goals, but this is our Tri-Honda Dealers game recap. Cal Clutterbuck says, hey, don't forget about me. I had a goal in the 1st period too. Question is, Clutterbuck comes out for the 3rd period. Looked like he was limping pretty badly when he left the ice at the end of the 2nd period, so certainly worth keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, but he's a warrior, Howie, and he's sitting on the bench, and he'll be ready to go as we get ready to start the 3rd period. And, you know, I was kidding a little bit about, or not kidding about the 2-0 lead for the Islanders. And let me get to that after we look at this trivia here.
Yeah, we already threw half of it out anyway.
Yeah.
Rick Nash would be one of the 2 Blue Jackets with 30 goals in a season, right? Right. And the other, Jeff Sanderson.
Pretty prolific goal scorer for the Columbus Blue Jackets a number of years ago.
Early in their history, and been a Hartford Whaler as well. North Shore LIJ, the official health system of the New York Islanders. Will we see a desperate Columbus team in the 3rd that perhaps rediscovers the legs that weren't there in the first 40 minutes? That's part of the theme here today. The Islanders have Cizikas, Martin, and McDonald up front, with Donovan and Martner on defense. Kenzie, Como, Calvert. This is Calvert, number 11 for Columbus, charging towards the net. Held off by Kartner. The rolling puck with help from the Bakov. Steered to the corner, and out comes McDonald.
Yeah, I was going to say how you'd have to think you could get a pretty good push early on from the Blue Jackets. First 5 minutes might tell the story.
And the puck dumped in by Boone Jenner. Checked in the corner by DeHaan. Horton for Anisimov. Artem Anisimov snapped it to the net, and that's kicked out by Nabokov.
Line changes here for the Blue Jackets. Todd Rich is looking to find a little chemistry, a little magic in the bottle.
There's going to be a penalty here to the Islanders. A delayed call. Bobrovsky just now starts heading to the bench. So an extra skater, and as the puck is simply dumped in by Prout, the Islanders take possession, and the Blue Jackets will get a power play as Oposo heads off 1:15 into the 3rd period.
That's what the doctor ordered if you're a Columbus Blue Jacket. An opportunity to get themselves going. Kyle Oposo in behind the net. Puts the clamps on the Columbus Blue Jacket. Not sure Kyle really liked that call or not. Now you have a concerned Jack Capuano because he's seen this rerun before. Just to get back to that 2-goal lead, Columbus Blue Jackets are 17th in the league, Howie, at 83.9%. And the Islanders are last. Now get this, Howie, 476% of trying to win games in the 3rd period. That's 300% worse than anybody else in the league.
Of course, they've seen the act before as Wisniewski fires one that's knocked aside. 2-goal leads in the 3rd period, meaning trouble. But the Islanders defending against a power play that's 0 for his last 31. Johansson feeds it back. Letestu along the boards to Johansson. And Johansson put it behind the net. Umberger tried to get it to the front, broke it up. Drive from the blue line, stopped, sent through the legs of Johansson, and out of the reach of Letestu. He's got to come back to his own blue line for it. Now Hamonic throws it off the boards. Matt Martin, by the way, has gone to the Islander room. If we get any word on that, or perhaps it's just a quick equipment change or repair. Minute 6 remaining now on the penalty to Oposo.
This early on with Matt Martin, you'd think it would be a skate. A lot of times you leave and then come back, you step on something on the way back to the ice, and it takes away the edge, because you would think that any health issues you would get, you know, sort of rectified before you got back out, or you wouldn't even come back out on the ice for the third period. So I'm going to speculate a little bit. It's just a skate.
Speculate away. Cizikas tried to play it across. 3 Blue Jackets were there, and Columbus move ahead. Dubinsky pounds it back down the board, sent to Savard at the blue line, trying to relax a rolling puck. Now to the slot, off the side of the net, went the shot by Atkinson. He gets it again, drops for Savard, across now to Johnson. Savard up high at the point, to Atkinson. Cam Atkinson curls away. Holds on now, down low, Anisimov. Nabokov gave him nothing. Churchman trying to clear. Savard holds it in. 28 to the Columbus power play. Now Johnson in the corner. Feeds it back to Savard at the point. Now to Johnson. Dubinsky to Savard. Lines it up, shoots. That's blocked away. I don't think that reached Nabokov.
Like it hit Churchman in front of the net. Islanders have done a terrific job of keeping the Blue Jackets to the outside, and anytime a puck has gone towards the net, they've either been able to block that shot, pass, or pick up the loose puck.
So Oposo's out of the box. Columbus 0 for 3 today and 0 for their last 32 with a man advantage, covering 9 games, including this one. And Bailey with a giveaway. Como denied by the blocker of Nabokov. Now in the corner, it's Calvert. Hamonic up for a Halmo. Sundstrom forced to the boards by Calvert. And both teams change on the move. 3:48 into this third period. Columbus out shooting the Islanders 29-23, although Nabokov is not needed to be anything close to spectacular in this one.
His counterpart is the one that's really had to make the tougher saves thus far.
Donovan a shot, skipped through and wide.
Bosky never saw that one as it sailed wide. That hits the net, it's in.
Oh, Jenner needs Anisimov on right wing. Played it off the stick of Strome, then down low, Tootin jammed at it, and Nabokov stopped it. And frankly, that's as tough a save as Nabokov's had to make.
Yeah, he just held his position in the middle of the crease area.
Clutterbuck a nice feed. Backhander by Strome went wide. Then Ryan Strome taken down. I think called. Hickey puts it back into the Columbus zone.
Columbus Blue Jackets defense starting to jump up in the play more often. Howie taking a few more chances.
6-0 in shots, though, for Columbus here in this third period. But again, none of the real testing variety, other than that one quick move in close that Nabokov just held his ground for. Now an odd man rush, 3-on-1 developing. Churchman moving in. Churchman a shot, and it's stopped by Bobrovsky and might have caromed off the post as it went behind him. So Churchman making a bid for his first NHL goal as the Islanders wound up with a 3-on-1. Back the other way now. Start the Islanders. On around the boards by Nelson. And Oposo knocked down. Oposo back to his feet. Put it out in front. A little too far to be reached by Nielsen. So in comes Dubinsky. Now to Atkinson trying to slip through. Nabokov says no, sir. And there's no further play with 14:22 to go in the third. Matt Martin returns from the Islander room.
Watch young Kevin Churchman right in this area here. Again, watch the movement as he just spurts right up the ice. He's going to take the puck off his teammate. Takes a little look. There's the shot. Might have hit the post. Now watch him come back hard. This is impressive as Blue Jackets try to create an offensive opportunity, and Churchman just stays right with it, rides his man out of the play. So very impressive for Kevin Churchman, showing a little offense, Howie, and then making sure he got back to provide defense for his team.
And now DeHaan On an exchange with Oposo, who looks for Nielsen and can't reach him. Keaton steers it the other way. Dubinsky, a nice little slip feed. And here come the Blue Jackets. It's Atkinson rolling along the near boards. Hamonic trying to jam it around. Dubinsky cut it off. Then Letestu curls it back to the corner. DeHaan takes it there for New York. Ahead for Nielsen into the Blue Jacket zone. Flicked away. And back into the corner now for Nikitin. Columbus changing on the fly. Savard steers it around the boards. Now McDonald took a shove. Gets the puck to Parker behind the net.
Matt Martin back, Howie.
Yep. Down the right wing, McDonald. A drop to Martin. Put it towards the slot. Taken down. On the play was McDonald.
Looking for a penalty, too.
Strome behind the net. Strome shaken up behind the play.
And that hit by Como and behind.
Wisniewski for Como. And jammed right back into the Blue Jacket zone. 12:57 to go, third period. And now Como squared off with Halmo. But Churchman and Como had a little bit of a battle in the second period. Now Halmo knocks the helmet right off of Blake Como. The former Islander getting the worst of this. Halmo a couple of uppercuts and Como is down.
Halmo went after him right away on that hit. Como laid on Ryan Strome. Fans really appreciative off their chairs. Blake Como is the guy that can play very physical. He's got good speed, so he can lay a pretty good bump on you here and there. And Halmo took exception to that hit on Ryan Strome.
So they'll both head off. 12:54 to go, third period.
Third period at the Nassau Coliseum. The Islanders lead the Blue Jackets 2-0. Blue Jackets trying to get a little physical. McKenzie in the corner. Watch this late hit. Como just catches Ryan Strome in an ugly position as he bounces off the boards. Took one up high around the head area. And, of course, Halmo didn't like that particular play. Mike Halmo, that is. And really lays a licking on Blake Como. Boy, feeding him some pretty solid punches. Takes the extra 2 minutes for instigating. So he's really beaten up. And, well, there you go, Ryan Strome walking. Welcome to the National Hockey League. But you can just sort of see how he went into those boards a little awkward. I didn't think Blake Como really ran him. Wasn't like some of the hits we've seen.
And the fight that Como had, something he was not accustomed to doing with the Islanders, only the third that he's had in his NHL career. That was Halmo's first.
We didn't have any choice because Halmo said, hey, I didn't like that. You're going to fight, and that's why the Islanders are going to have to kill a penalty. 2 minutes for instigating.
It's like they're still talking about it, yapping from their opposite penalty boxes. The Islanders also getting the instigator penalty on Halmo, which is accompanied by the 10-minute misconduct. All at 7:06.
And I didn't think it was a terribly hard hit. I thought he kind of ushered him in, but caught him in an awkward situation.
The fourth power play for the Blue Jackets. Islanders leading 2-0. Johnson lines one up. Put it into the crease where it deflects to the corner. And rescued by Horton for Wisniewski. On now to Johnson. Traffic in front. Johnson along the goal line. The Bakava save on Jenner. And then Cizikas throws his arm around the shoulder of Horton. And an opening for a clear. DeHaan takes advantage.
The Islanders will take that penalty killing all day long. I mean, a shot when the Blue Jacket forward has his skates behind the goal line. That's a tough play to score, and Easonoff not much opportunity.
So Johansson unable to sneak through, and Hickey will start the other way. He's accompanied by Nelson. Hickey takes the shot, save made, rebound Nielsen, put it out in front, but it's gobbled up by Wisniewski, and the Blue Jackets move ahead, but a long pass picked off and cleared by Frans Nielsen.
Now, Frans Nielsen saw Brock Nelson on the far side and tried to feed him a gift pass, but Blue Jackets got back in position. Blue Jackets still no real sharpness to their game. It's a struggle for them.
30 seconds remaining to their power play. That's flubbed by Nikitin. He knocks Cizikas off the puck, and a penalty coming up. And so that will neutralize the final 25 seconds of the Islander penalty. Meantime, shoving going on between Hamonic and Nick Foligno.
Now that penalty just really typifies what the Columbus Blue Jackets have gone through. Crazy hops, just a little not quite as sharp with their reflexes. Puck bounces off Nikitin's skate, and in a desperate attempt to prevent a 2-on-1. Takes down Frans Nielsen. That's really is what's gone on in this entire game for the Blue Jackets. They've just been a step slow, methodically or mentally they've been a step off.
I'm sure Todd Richards at some point in this game felt like, boy, there's nothing I could do. Is that the most helpless feeling a coach has?
It really is, because his team has played very well, and he knows they're going through a real tough stretch. He knows the importance of the games, but there's just these times when you don't have the legs. You're going to come up empty, and this to me looks like one of those games where the Islanders are really fresh and the Blue Jackets are not.
That's even, I'm asking really, when you start changing lines, maybe change defense pairs. If the legs aren't there, does it even matter what kind of strategic things you try to employ?
Probably at the end of the day won't help, but you got to try it as a coach. You got to try something. You can't just roll over and say, well, you know what, it's one of those games, well, so we lose. Well, you can't have that, particularly when you're in a stretch drive trying to get into the playoffs. So Todd Richards is going to try to pull every rabbit out of his hat he possibly can to see if he can't even steal a point, because at this point in time, that would be a bonus.
So now with Strome out of the box, it's an Islander power play. Nikitin tripping at 8:41. Islanders 1 for 3 on the power play with 3 power play shots. Minute and a half to go to the man advantage. 10:48 left, third period. And the Islanders up 2-0. And Donovan turning away from McKenzie. Islanders with Nielsen, Okposo, Nelson, Lee, and Donovan on the power play. Room for Okposo. He fires. Bobrovsky the save. He gets the whistle just as Lee was trying to dig the puck out.
Yeah, Lee had followed the puck all the way into Bobrovsky's pad as Kyle Okposo gets the shot on net, and Lee in front looking for a rebound and squeaked loose just a little bit. Good entry for the Islanders. You can see the support along the boards. Kyle Okposo takes a long, hard look, making sure he gets the puck to the net, particularly with Anders Lee in front of it, looking for a deflection or a rebound. Islanders done a real nice job in today's game of getting the puck in and creating some opportunities with their ozone time. That's all about the entry, a big part of the game.
So the face-off deep in the Columbus zone. A minute 6 remaining on the penalty to Nikitin. Okposo and McKenzie on what ultimately becomes a false face-off. So they'll readjust the clock.
Perhaps Toronto is calling. Maybe they unhappy with something.
Now what would they want?
Maybe Mike had ordered pizza and was waiting for it to get there. I don't know.
I think that was just a signal from the scorer's table that they're adjusting the clock. I mean, Murph's got to have something better to do than that.
He's got a long day. He's ahead of him, boy.
There's Nielsen now. Minute to go to the power play. Nielsen holding. Some traffic in front. Lee is there. Donovan to Okposo. Okposo holding. Waiting. Now for Nelson behind the net. He pushes it towards the front. More than anything, looked like he lost the handle trying to make a pass. Bobrovsky covers up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where he wanted to go to. And both the Islander forwards, when you looked at them, whether it was Frans Nielsen or Kyle Okposo, they're both on their normal size, Howie, which means once they get the pass, they've got to square their shoulders to shoot the puck. That takes an extra half second. You'd like to see them on their opposite side so they can one-time the puck. So leads to a little bit more passing than power play coach Doug Weight would like. Likes to get shots towards the net.
The Blue Jackets send all the way down. 36 seconds. Remaining. Islanders power play. Matt Donovan up to the Columbus line. Wisniewski took a little tug from Nelson. So Donovan's able to keep it to Okposo. Now to Nielsen. Nelson to Nielsen. Okposo, long wrist shot, skipped wide. Calvert trying to clear it, went off Donovan's stick. So Anisimov carries ahead. The penalty will expire. And Nikitin set to come out.
Look at Kyle Okposo playing defense and taking his man out. Of course, that helps when you have support from Frans Nielsen coming back hard, but Kyle Okposo playing a little defense.
Islanders had 2 shots on that power play. Icing waved off. Right to the front of the net, Johnson. And now Bailey, checked by Trout. Round around by Letestu, and Brandon Dubinsky starts up left wing, working against Hamonic. Looks for Letestu. Hamonic broke it up. Now Letestu in the corner. Put it behind the net. Strome steers it around. Route bumped by Martin. Or pardon me, by Bailey. A long drive from the blue line by Atkinson is held by Nabokov. So 8:39 remaining. Third period on the island. Tuesday on MSG Plus, the Islanders take on the Hurricanes. Live coverage gets underway with Visa Islanders game night at 6:30 p.m. Then it's the Islanders and Hurricanes Tuesday night on MSG Plus. And coming up, the Foxwoods Final Five. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. So, a face-off in the Islanders zone. And if the Columbus Blue Jackets upper management have been waiting for their team's alarm clock to go off, well, they've been waiting all day, and with 8:39 to go, the Islanders that close to handing the Blue Jackets what would be for them a big loss.
It would be a very difficult loss for them. They played very well, tough week.
Going to the net is Lee. That's not exactly rare footage. And play is stopped.
Savard battling in front of the net. Bobrovsky's able to keep that puck out of the net, but it's not so much how the alarm clock hasn't gone off and that they're not ready to play. It's we watch Anders Lee in typical fashion driving towards the net. Nice little soft pass in the crease area. Bobrovsky's forced to make a save, but it's more the fact that they just don't have the legs, and every once in a while that's just going to happen. And you just don't want to see it, but if you played a lot of games with a lot of pressure and a lot of energy, which the Blue Jackets have over the last little while, you couple that with a very fresh Islander team that's played very hungry with a lot of energy, it makes it difficult. And we've often talked about the parity in the National Hockey League. Well, you're getting a pretty good look at it now.
Most of the schedule this year, because of the Olympics, has been compressed to the point where you get a lot of these 5 and 8s like the Blue Jackets have been in the midst of. And so for the Islanders coming off of 4 days without a game, that's a rarity this year. You'll see it a few times in a normally scheduled season.
Right.
Figuring next year will be a welcome change when you consider the lockout and the compressed schedule last year.
That'll be nice.
And the Olympic schedule this year.
Well, and you have practice time, too. That's one of the things that Todd Richards was talking about. He said he hasn't had an opportunity to have any practice time with his team. So, even though you're winning, there's always areas that you like to sort of queue up a little bit, just get a little review, practice, run through a nice session. And practices can kind of recondition you, because when you're playing, you're only playing 15, 16 minutes a game, 18 in some cases. When you practice, you're going for 45 in an hour, so you're getting a conditioning result also. So when you get out of that, you can get out of sync in a hurry. And, for the Islanders, perfect scenario, 4 days of practice, conditioning, and then work on areas of the game that they want to be a little bit better. So it's a huge edge coming to this game when you talk about setting the game up. It's all in the Islanders' favor, and they're taking advantage of it. Got to give them marks.
The Islanders have a power play goal in this game. They've held Columbus without one in 4 chances. So the Blue Jackets 0 for their last 33 on the power play. Full strength here with Newski a shot. That was tipped just wide by Jenner. Anisimov forced towards the boards by Clutterbuck. Good hit on Jenner there. It was by Thomas Hickey. Down to 7 minutes to go in the third period. Shots are 34-29 Columbus. And now Churchman. Tugged at by Nathan Horton. Out in center for Bailey. And Wisniewski starts the other way, but his pass came up a buck short, and Bailey caught it.
There's Todd Richards. When he played, he was a defenseman. Pretty smart hockey player, played on the power play, so you'd think he'd have some answers for his team.
Wisniewski was turned around and dumped in center. Donovan a drive, stick aside by Bobrovsky. Dumped there by Ryan Strome.
Ryan Strome getting physical out there. Well, of course, when you play with Matt Martin and Colin McDonald, you can take a few liberties.
Cut off there by Strome. And this is not an icing. Martin got back and then runs into Trout. Good job by Matt Martin to avert the icing. And here comes Atkinson away from Donovan. Penalty coming. Atkinson shoots, and a glove save is made by Nabokov. Now, I'm not sure whether that puck might have gone wide or not, but Nabokov making a solid save, not taking anything for granted. And now the Blue Jackets will have a power play. 5:53 to go in the third. That looked ticketed. Well, the Islanders up 2-0 after the game with 5:58 remaining in the third. Get reaction from Coach Capuano and the players, plus highlights and analysis on the Islanders postgame, presented by A&A immediately following the action. Donovan off for hooking.
Yeah, and his third penalty this afternoon. A puck bounces on him, and Atkinson pounces on the loose puck, and there's the hook right away. And what a save by Nabokov, as Atkinson makes a pretty nice move. He fakes it when he has the opportunity at the top of the circles. Nabokov doesn't bite for it, stays with it. You're right, Howie. Don't know if it would have went in the net, but Nabokov wasn't taking any chances. Snares it with that glove.
So, 0 for 4 are the Blue Jackets. 0 for their last 33. With 5:46 to go in the third, the Islanders up 2-0. Johnson lets go a drive. Save made by Nabokov. Loose puck in front. They try to sweep it away. It goes to the corner. Hamonic double team. Turned it over. Atkinson winds it to the blue line where Johnson waits. Now Johnson against Cizikas. Johnson plugging it to the corner. Made a hard pass around the boards. Anisimov didn't get to it. And it caroms all the way down.
Clearing play for the Islanders. This is a must score for the Jackets if they have any hopes at all of salvaging something in this game.
Atkinson down behind the net. Attempt was to pound it around by Hickey, but that hit a leg. Ricochets out of play, off a deflection, say the officials.
That'll be a face-off outside the blue line, but an area that the Jackets have struggled with so much is their entries. Dumped the puck in so many times, and the Islanders have pounced on them quickly. Blue Jackets haven't spent anywhere near as much offensive time as they would like to on their power play, and then they're just too methodical for my liking, Howie. Not enough shots going towards the net.
Nelson got a stick up on Wisniewski, who tried to sell a penalty that doesn't come.
Need a 5-on-3 perhaps to score a goal.
So Wisniewski instead turns towards the offense and steers it in. 54 to go on the latest Columbus power play. Johansson back to Savard at the point. Across to Johnson. Hard pass off of Horton. Now Umberger taken in by Churchman. Wisniewski trying to dig it loose. He has Churchman all over him. That turns it over, and it's cleared by Clutterbuck. And so, with 28 remaining on the Blue Jackets power play, David Savard or Johansson. Lamont taken in. And the puck cleared out by Brock Nelson. This Blue Jackets power play has gone nowhere all day.
No, it really, there's no rhythm out there, and the Islanders have been able to win all the battles up to the loose pucks.
Well, the Blue Jackets now 0-4-5 as Donovan steps out. We're down to 3:51 to go in the third.
Well, that's going to be an area that Todd Richards is going to spend an awful lot of time if he does have some practice time over the next few days, because if you miss the playoffs, it'll probably be because of the playoffs. So they've got to, because of their power play. Their 5-on-5 play is fine, but their special teams, particularly their power play, is just not good enough to get them in the playoffs.
Blue Jackets are off tomorrow, and then another huge game for them. That'll be at home against the Detroit Red Wings. It'll be on Tuesday night.
And that's a team they're battling for a playoff spot.
And just 2 shots on that last power play. Calvert bumped by Hickey behind the net with 3:12 to go. Anisimov for Calvert. He's taken down by Hickey. Nick Foligno back to Nikitin. And Strome snaps it the other way.
How many Blue Jackets have been on the ice tonight, Howie? I mean, it just seems like every time the Islanders go in the corner, the Blue Jackets have been on the ice. I mean, they have just not been able to withstand the strength of the Islanders, and that hasn't happened all that often. Again, I think you'd have been to the 20s.
Here's a good lead pass to McDonald. He shoots. Bobrovsky way out to stop it. McDonald again put it in front. Caromed off of the now fallen Martin. And
Glove to head is what the referee is saying. Possibly Colin McDonald pushing the puck to Ryan Strome. But good opportunity for Colin McDonald going down that wing, and Bobrovsky just outweights him and out-challenges him. A tremendous play by Bobrovsky. Again, driving towards the net. There's a good backhand pass. And, I don't know how you can call that a glove-to-head pass. That's pretty nifty, but that's Ryan Strome and Matt Martin teaming up. But I mean, to me, it's been so obvious, and that's what we talked about, the tiredness of the apparent tiredness of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, they've been on the ice. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times they've been there.
You're watching the Foxwoods Final Five. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. Visit foxwoods.com now. Down to 2:19 to go in the third period. DeHaan off the boards. Back down into the Columbus zone. When you factor in all of the Islander injuries and inexperience, I'm sure Jack Capuano will have reason to find lots to be happy about today. And now Bobrovsky goes to the Columbus bench. Their net is empty. Extra skater for Columbus, under 2 minutes to go. Penalty coming to the Islanders. Wisniewski gives it up. And Columbus, for what it's worth, is going to end this game on the power play. And that's not to be smug. There are still 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining, and it's within reach as Churchman goes off for the hook. But the Blue Jackets power play has just generated nothing. Now they're going to have a two-man skating advantage with their net empty. And apparently a timeout being called by Todd Richards.
Todd Richards allows his troops to get on the ice. Here he'll go with the 6-on-4 as Churchman goes into the penalty box. Watch Churchman behind the net as he just does battle, and then a lot of times he just gets his stick caught up and like he inadvertently tripped. There's the hook right there on Dubinsky. You can see where he had his stick caught up in the hands of Dubinsky along the right side of Dubinsky's hip. Good call by the referees. Should be an interesting 2 minutes.
And so it's Johansson, a hard feed to the slot that was pushed wide by Anisimov. With the Columbus net empty, they've got a 6-on-4 skating advantage here. Johnson across to Wisniewski. That stop, rebound Anisimov. That clipped the side of the net. Kept alive by Anisimov. Minute 26 to go in the third period. Anisimov fed it down low. Jenner shoved twice. Wisniewski. And Anisimov looks for Johansson. Minute 10 to go. Johansson to Horton. DeHaan's all over him. Worked loose by Jenner. We come down to the final minute of the third period. 2-0 Islanders. A one-timer stopped by Nabokov. The rebound loose. There's a pile-up. Where's the puck? It's still loose. It rolls towards and over the blue line to center.
Now what a battle in front of the net. And Clutterbuck was strong. Travis Hamonic and DeHaan was back there. Crazy stuff in front of that net.
Down to 40 seconds remaining. Johnson with a drop for Wisniewski. Across to Johansson. Let's go a drive. It missed the net. Winds up in the corner. Down to a half minute remaining. And it hops over Wisniewski's stick.
Get the feeling you're not supposed to win this game.
They might have had it for a while now. 20 seconds to go. Johnson looks to put it in front. That's blocked and cleared. We're down to 14 seconds remaining. And Mr. Nabokov will have himself a well-earned victory this afternoon. As Johnson moves to the Islander line with 4. It's wound around the boards, and Evgeny Nabokov has his 58th National Hockey League career shutout. The New York Islanders have defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-0.
And this was a very, very good team effort. Nabokov wasn't tested a ton. He did have to make some pretty good saves, particularly in the last couple of minutes of the third period. But overall, this team did a nice job in front of him, and Todd Richards knows that this is just one of those games that he has to live with. The team didn't have a lot of energy. It was obvious right from the start. We heard it from the president of the club early on that he was concerned, and the Islanders took advantage of it. You know, it wasn't given to them, Howie. They took advantage of it, and they played it very well.
Blue Jackets, again, have played a lot of games in a relatively short amount of time. They had a very emotional game at home on Friday night against the Rangers, which they lost, and whether or not there was a cause and effect between that game and this, only they can answer. But the Islanders win it, and our turning point of the game is brought to you by Weiser's Whiskey. Welcome to the Weiser Hood, and just enjoy this.
Yeah, nothing needs to be said. It's just a 200-foot race. Thank you very much. Travis Hamonic is a happy guy, and that was the turning point because it gave him that dreaded 2-goal lead, and they were able to handle it with ease.
Funny, Columbus outshot the Islanders 17-9 in the third, 41-32 for the game. So 41 shots, that seems like quite an afternoon's work for Evgeny Nabokov. You look back on those 41 shots, can you remember more than 2 or 3 that might have been, real testers?
No, it really wasn't that kind of game. Nabokov's had far less shots and had to make a lot tougher saves as we see the third star come out, Cal Clutterbuck. But again, I thought the Honor young defense in particular, how he did a real nice job in front of him. He just seemed to be very, very calm, very comfortable trying to get done in the defensive zone, protecting him, taking care of the rebounds. And so it was just a good, solid performance.
Hamonic, the second star of the game. Clutterbuck, the third. Nabokov will be the first. That's true, Butch. At the very beginning of the show, we set up the inexperience on the Islander defense and what a test it would be against a desperate Columbus team. The Islander defense certainly earned their marks today, and so did the goaltender, Evgeny Nabokov, who picks up career shutout number 58, and he's standing by to talk about it with Peter.
Thank you very much, Howie. Listen, Nabby, you showed a lot of poise as a team here today, especially when you consider all the young guys in the lineup. Was that the key to this victory?
Well, we didn't like the result of the last game, and we're trying to play for you guys, and we're trying to fight hard and hoping for the results, and I think today we got the results.
58th career shutout for you, Nabby. I mean, an amazing career. When you look back on your time in the National Hockey League, when you first got here, if somebody had said you'd have 58 career shutouts, would you believe them?
I'm not done yet, Peter.
That's good to hear. Hey, listen, thanks a lot. Great game today. Best of luck in Carolina, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, that's Mr. Evgeny Nabokov, everybody.
And Nabby not ready to look back on his NHL career, wanting to look ahead. Well, he needs 3 to tie Maris anyway. And whether he gets him as an Islander or not will certainly be determined in the weeks and months to come, although he'd like to stay here. And everything Garth Snow has said certainly indicates that he'd like Nabokov to stay here. So we'll see if they get something worked out, whatever role that would mean for Nabokov next year to be determined. But although Nabokov yelled, "Still got it," in front of the writers in the hallway, he proved it earlier today. The ANA Islanders postgame coming up.